Hi there, Jonny here from JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk, and welcome back to the Studio One from Scratch series. And we are coming very near to the very end of this series. I hope you have found it useful and helpful and enjoyable to watch as well. So we are having, let me start this sentence again. So having done mastering in the song page, like we did last time, what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you how you can do the same, but in the project page. Project page is really great because you can master a lot of songs and you can make a whole CD if you want to, or a digital release of an album, and it's fantastic. You can have all of your songs mixed down to a stereo file, uploaded onto the project page, and then you can level them all out, EQ them and compress them, and just make them all fit nicely together in a nice sequence and have all the metadata and everything else in there. It's fantastic. I'm going to show you just basically the very essentials of what you need to do to use the mastering page known as the project page. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. That's going to be the focus, and I'll show you how you can get your music up to a good loud volume without being over loud or over compressed, and how you can use EQ and compression very subtly, because mastering is all about the subtlety. So how you can use EQ and compression nice and subtly to create your master ready for uploading to the world, and kind of where you want to aim for ballpark wise in terms of loudness. Okay, I'm not going to go into much the technical stuff to do with that, but we're going to go into just basically what you need to know. All right, without any more waffling, let's get into it. So first thing we need to do is just refresh ourselves of the little tune we have here. I've duplicated the piano solo section a little bit so that we've got ourselves a little bit longer to work with. And now that we've done that, I'm going to play a little bit, and then just to remind ourselves how this goes, and then we will, I'll show you how to put this into the project page. Here we go. Okay, so we got all the trumpet solo there and just a little bit of the piano solo. And now we can get into the nitty-gritty of getting this into the mastering page. So let me show you how to do that. We're happy with our mix, we're happy with our EQ and compression and our ambient effects that we've added, and our mix bus compression. We're only doing 0.7 dB of compression over there, so the whole thing is just being nicely glued together in a nice and transparent fashion. Let's go and do this. So we go up to the song menu up here, and then we go down to where it says add to project. And as you can see, there are a whole bunch of mastering projects that I've done over, some of those date back a year or two, but some of these are fairly recent as well. And the one I want to do is I want to do new project, Studio One from Scratch demo, which is what this is. So let's click that. And this dialog box opens up. We want the sample rate to be 44.1. And we're happy with that title. In fact, why don't we change this project title to demo song with not a capital O. Song. There we go. And that's going to save to my external drive, to the songs folder and the folder inside that which is called projects, and that's all fine. And then we hit OK, and then it does its magic. Watch this. Okay, and you probably heard my mixer go a little bit crazy there because all the faders were going down, and we just want to say update the mastering file, and we want to do OK. And this is a clever bit. It's now creating a stereo mastering file. And then we get this little notification that comes up, updated 1 of 1 mastering files in 17.475 seconds. That's cool. Now, obviously, we don't, as you can see, there's a whole load of stuff at the end there. That's because I've made a small mistake, which I'm going to show you how to correct if that happens, because at the moment, this is going to play for 5 minutes, because that's the default length of the song. We don't want that. So what we need to do is we need to go and move the start and end markers in the original song, and then we need to go back and update this. So let's go back to the song page over here, and we need to open our marker track. So we go open marker track here. See, there's the start one, there's the end one. We want to move the end to probably about there. So there's a little bit of leeway. And I'm going to go File, Save. And then I'm going to go back to the project page. And this icon has now gone red, which means we need to update the mastering file. So we click that. And it adjusts it all. And as you can see, it is now much shorter, which is what we want. So now we go OK. Now we've got the file length to the correct length that we are after. We can move that in so that it's approximately the correct length now. There we go. And of course we can do all of our traditional zooming as we need to. So let's say we want to zoom so that we can see much more of the file. There we go. See? You can just click and drag on the timeline like you can in the song page. And now we can see a little bit more detail, and I can zoom in even further if I really want to, and I can move this end length thing right so that it's exactly on the end like that. And that's very cool. So the song is still kind of a little bit not quite right, but what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to drag the end in like that, and I think what we will do is we'll do a fade out on this event towards the end anyway. Now we'll move that in. Okay, so now we've got everything where we more or less want it. Everything is good, and at this point I would do a file save, and now we have saved our mastering file, and we can zoom all the way to the end. Now I can't see the end now, so what I want to do is zoom. There we go. And so what we can do now is we can actually play this. Okay, and I'm going to give you a quick tour of the project page and the things that you can do, because as you can see, this is very, very different to the song page. So here we have our peak meters, and we have our nice little EQ waterfall curve thing going on here. And this gives us a load of information about how balanced our mix was. And then this gives us some nice information about the volume and the loudness. And it defaults to peak RMS. But generally speaking, I tend to use the K system, but you don't have to use the K system, that's fine. But what you will want to do when you are using this to master is, if you're using the peak RMS, which is this button here, is you will want to try and ensure that the very top part of the blue columns is coming up to almost 0. To round about that point there. And then you want to make sure that the little white lines are kind of around this area here. Okay? Because you want to have a nice kind of healthy gap between the peak and the average level. And that will really help you out with your master. But using the K system, The cool thing about the K system is it's traffic lighted, so you can tell kind of where it's at, and I'll show you that in a wee while how I do it. You can do it this way, but I'll show you how I do it. So let's get into this. So we've got our song. Let's see how the volume is. Let's go to somewhere in the middle here, and let's have a look at our average levels and see what they're like. Okay, let's have another look at that. I think we're average peaking about -12, and the average was somewhere quite way down. So we can turn this up quite a bit. Yeah, so it's hovering around about -24 on the RMS. So we can actually turn this up. So if we grab this little grey box here and drag upwards, we see the waveform getting louder and louder. Let's see what that's like. The same kind of spot. Now that we've turned it up a wee bit, let's see what that's like. Now did you see what happened? The red clip light came on. The red clip line tells us that some audio has peaked over 0 dB, which is not good. That's where you get into digital distortion. Not a great place to be. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn this down just a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 dB. There we go. So we've turned that down 3 dB from what it was, and that should give me a little bit of room, about 3 dB's worth of room to do a little bit of EQ and compression. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So we're kind of like around about that -3 area now, which is good. So what we want to do is we want to do a little bit of EQ just to kind of tidy up the low end a little bit and tidy up the upper register, and also maybe a little bit of the low mids as well. Particularly the Fender Rhodes is kind of a little bit kind of boomy there, so we'll maybe go and deal with that. So what we're going to do is we want to go to this bottom corner here and open our browser. And we have access to all the same plugins that you would have access to in the song page. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep this, again, very, very simple. We're just going to grab the Pro EQ. And we're going to drag this into the inserts for this song. Now, EQ and compression here, we're affecting the whole mix. We're no longer affecting individual elements of the mix. We are affecting the entire stereo mix. Okay, this is like doing what we did in the last video, which was doing it on the mix bus. This is essentially the same kind of thing, except what you can do is you can have a whole bunch of songs lined up here. You could have a 10-song record, and you could have all your 10 songs lined up here. You can do individual EQ for each individual song and compression for each individual song, and then on this master section here, you can have your final stage of compression that basically glues all of the songs together so that all of the songs have that same just very, very tightly, just very lightly rather, compressed gluing effect to it. And then in this post section here we can put a limiter, and the limiter will stop the audio going over 0 dB, which will mean that we won't be clipping. But I'm going to show you a little trick about that, and I think I kind of touched upon it in the previous video, but it's really important for mastering. A lot of people try to set their limiter up so that it basically is practically almost touching 0 dB, and I talked a little bit last time about intersample peaking, which is something you definitely want to avoid, because it will absolutely destroy the top end of your mix and make it sound really crispy and crackly, and that's something you definitely don't want to be doing. So I will be setting the limiter up so that we have a little bit of headroom. So basically it will be limiting anything that goes over -1 dB, so that we've always got that 1 dB buffer, so that we are not going to encounter that intersample peaking business, which we definitely don't want. So a little bit of EQ first. Let's get into that. So let's just pick a spot here. All right, so we're getting there with this. So I've just cleared out just a little bit of the super lows, anything below 24 hertz, because we don't really need that, and most playback systems are not going to touch this, so there's no point in having any information down there. It's just not going to do anything at all. But since we've used loops that have already been essentially EQ'd, excuse me, which have already been EQ'd and compressed anyway, and then we EQ'd and compressed them further in our mixing process to get some separation. When it comes to the mastering phase here, we don't really, in this case, need to do a whole lot. I might just clear out maybe just a little bit of 500. Let's go back and play a little bit more from about here. So you can see there, I'm doing very, very small, subtle changes of literally like 1 dB, pulling out 1 dB at about 2K, pulling out 1 dB around about 500, needs to be a little bit lower than that actually. And then I've done 1 dB boost at 10K, just to give a little bit of brightness to the top. And as I say, we've done a little bit of a low cut, also known as a high pass filter, down at 24. And so that's pretty cool. Happy with that. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of compression. Doesn't really need much, but you know, we'll do it. But this doesn't mean, by the way, that you have to compress everything. You don't. If it doesn't need it, don't do it. So let's just set this up to how I might want it. I'll keep that at 30, and I'll maybe roll this up to not that much. Let's just type in 100 for now. So 100 millisecond release, 30 millisecond attack. We'll pull that gain back down to 0. And we will gradually introduce this threshold and see if we can't get ourselves just the minutest, hairiest little bit of compression. So let's go back to round about here and dial it in. See, what concerns me is that cymbal crash. Let's just see if that makes the compressor pump a little bit. Okay, let's just go back over that particularly loud part of the piano here. And we'll just judge the compressor by this little bit here. Okay, that's pretty cool. All right, so we're getting less than a dB of compression there, which is fine. Don't want anything majorly more than that. So according to this here, our integrated loudness is 4.2 loudness units, and our peak is just a hair under 0 dB. So that was kind of like the loudest peak that we hit right there. So what we want to do is we want to bring in our limiter, and we'll get this on the post section over here. And this will get our music up to the volume the volume that we want to get up to, so that it's kind of like quote unquote radio ready. So we're going to turn this input, and I'm going to leave these set at -1, leave that release time at 100, and I want to barely be touching this guy, just occasionally be touching it. So let's roll it back to about there again. Let's run it back again. Okay, lovely. So most we got there was almost 2 dB. That's fine. And it was just like one instance of 2 dB. So you pretty much don't notice that that's happened. And that's keeping us now below that that level. So of course this hasn't reset. So if I want to check what that's coming out at, I need to hit the reset button and just roll it back. Perfect. So now we are peaking at -1, which means the limiter's doing its job. It's grabbing those peaks that might want to go up towards 0 and pulling them back. So that's what we want. So that's good. That is good. All right. So I'm going to... Oh, it's not... Oh, there we go. Good. Okay, I can collapse that because basically I want to get something else in here. I basically want to create a little bit more width because as we can see at the moment, if we look at this guy over here, everything is very much mono. There's not a lot of activity going on left or right at the moment. It's very much a little bit up in the middle, which is not what I want. So I am going to go and find a plugin that's going to help us. And it's going to be this guy. I'm going to get him in over here, the binaural pan. And what we can do is we can increase the width. And basically what this does is it turns up the sides volume and leaves the center at the same volume. It's very clever. So it turns up the left and right, but keeps the center the same kind of volume, and that should give us the perception of some more width. So let's go back to our same spot round about here. We're going to play the track, and we're going to keep an eye on this guy as well. And what we want to do is we want to turn this up so we get some width, but we don't want to lose the middle of the mix. We don't want to collapse the center of the mix. So let's play it from there. Okay, so we're getting definitely some more width out of this mix, which is cool. But also, consequently, we're getting a little bit more activity going on with the limiter. It's going up towards about 2 dB now. What I might do is actually just help the limiter out and the compressor out a little bit and just turn the track down a little bit. Let's go and check on what the compressor has been doing. Compressor might have actually reset itself. So let's go back to just about 120. We'll roll from there and we'll just do a quick check of the compressor and a quick check of the limiter and make sure they're not being overworked. I'm keeping the binaural pan plugin pinned so that I can adjust if I need to. Okay, just check the limiter again. Okay, cool. That's looking much more like it. Okay, I'm happy with that, and I'm happy with the width we're getting, and we're not losing the middle either. You know, the drums are not getting lost, which is just fine by me, and everything looks pretty good over here. So the only one I'm really paying attention to is the true peak here, this number here, which is now a little bit of an irrelevancy now that we've got this limiter going, because the limiter is always going to slap everything that goes kind of over this -1. So that is now all good. Happy with all of that. Now, because we made this track a little bit longer, generally speaking, most tracks, if you want to have a song that's going to be played on the radio, you probably want to aim for about 3 minutes or so. So what we're going to do is we're going to engineer a little bit of a fade out on this. I'm going to do that by grabbing this guy here, this little fade out handle, and we're going to just draw this back a little bit, and I'm making quite a lengthy fade out, but what I'll do is I'll shorten the track in just a minute. So let's say we want this fade out to be, let's say maybe that long. So maybe we'll shorten the track to 3 minutes a little bit. There we go. So we want the track to be kind of done after about 3 minutes and 5 seconds, let's say. So let's get that to about 3 minutes and 5. Yeah, that'll do. Then I'll move this guy in to meet it. And I'll extend this out a little bit. Let's say we give ourselves a 9-second fade out. Let's see what that's like. So let's move the cursor along a little bit and we'll play it. Alright, it's pretty cool, but we could probably make that a little bit longer. And we could maybe give it a little bit more of an interesting slope. Let's try that. Same spot. Alright, so now that we've done that, actually maybe the track needs to be a little bit longer after all of that. Let's maybe take it out to 3 minutes 8. So we get a nice bit of runoff after that fade. So let's just go a little bit before the fade. Yep, cool. Happy with that. Make sure we save our project. And at this point, I'm going to say that this is good to go. This is good to go to digital release and all of that fun stuff now. So I'm going to quickly show you how you can put in metadata and all of that stuff for the album as a whole and for the individual song. And then you can hit this button here and you can upload this to SoundCloud if you want, or you could just have the master on your computer and then you can distribute to something like CD Baby or something else. But Studio One does have some cool integration with SoundCloud. If you have an account at SoundCloud, it's a great way to be able to just get something straight out of Studio One and into SoundCloud. But that, again, how you distribute is entirely up to you. This digital release button is very cool for doing that. So let's say we're going to call this album, what are we going to call it? Let's say Piano Madness or something. Let's call the album Piano Madness. Let's just say it's an album of a whole bunch of piano improvisations, and we'll just call this Me. Jonny Lipsham, that's me. And so that's the album taken care of. Now I can open this section here and I can put in songwriter. I can put me again. I can say genre, jazz, funk. For example, the year would be 2018, which is the year that we are in as the point of this recording. We can also put in some artwork. Now this is cool if you're sending this off to be made into a CD, for example, or you've got one of those very, very cool media players that will actually, have the picture, the artwork for the album up as the track plays. That's a very cool thing to do there. You can put that in there. Obviously, we don't have any created for this, but you can certainly do that there. And that's the metadata for the album. So all of the songs would have that embedded in them as a whole, but you can also do the metadata for each individual song as well. So the artist is me. The track here is Studio One from Scratch demo. That's fine. And we are going to say the songwriter is the artist. And we are happy with this. Genre is Jazz Rock 2018. And that's my business logo there, Jonny Lipsham Studios. We'll keep that. And we're all happy with all of that. So we'll go File. And we'll go Save. And we're good to go and hit this button over here, Digital Release. So I'm going to hit this. If you've got more than one song, all of these songs will populate in here. You can choose your location where it's going to go on your computer. You can directly upload to SoundCloud by hitting this little button here, or you can just keep Do Not Publish if you just want to put it onto your local disk drive, and then you can upload it from your computer to somewhere like CD Baby or wherever you might want to put it, or DistroKid. DistroKid is another very, very, very good service where you can get your music out to a lot of different vendors. Where you can sell your work in iTunes and all sorts of places. DistroKid I thoroughly recommend going to check that out. But this is not really commercial for DistroKid, and they don't pay me anything either to say anything like this about them. And neither does SoundCloud, by the way. So I'm going to say keep this on my D:" drive, and I'm going to say do not publish rather than upload to SoundCloud. And the format is going to be MP3. at the highest bitrate possible, which is 320 kilobits a second. My sample rate 44.1, which is great for putting this onto a CD. Use the range of events. Use the range of track markers. So if I was to do that, use the range of track markers. So I've got my track markers here, all set up. So track 1 is there. Add track numbers to file name, add artist to file name, use real-time processing. Not going to use real-time processing at all, and this is going to go to demo song / release. And I'm going to hit OK. And as you can see, in a matter of seconds, it's done, including all of my metadata. Studio One from scratch, demo, the artist, the album. Plus you also get this what do they call an M3U file, which is basically it's a playlist. So if you have like 10 songs, then and you're a Windows guy like I am, you get this M3U file, which basically gives you the playlist, and it will just play all of the songs on your album. Without you having to select each song individually for playback. So there you have it. That's how you do that. Now, if I was to do the release to SoundCloud, I'll just very quickly do that. If I go digital release again, if I go upload to SoundCloud, it's going to want to upload this to my SoundCloud account. I guess I could always take it off afterwards. And that will basically open up a dialog box. If I just do OK. It's already hooked up to my SoundCloud account, so now it is uploading it to SoundCloud for me. And there it is. This is the SoundCloud thing right here. And there's the song title. I can put in my description. I can put in the key and the tempo if I want to. This track is available publicly. I can check that, and then I can upload it if I want to. And this is very, very cool, this integration with SoundCloud. So Studio One to SoundCloud upload button here, which is really cool. So that's that done, and we are all good to go. So I hope this series has been extremely helpful and useful for you, taking you all the way from getting the bare basic bones of the track in, and then getting it mixed, getting it mastered by 2 different methods, and then digital release. So I hope that's been helpful for you. Hope you've enjoyed this series. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you'll see a whole bunch of new stuff that I've got primed and ready to come out over the course of the next few weeks. Please also go and go to the description of this video and click the link there for subscribing to my email list, and you will get a whole bunch of content straight to your inbox, which I will not post up anywhere else. It will be my email list will get their own set of special mixing and recording and mastering and songwriting tips and tricks and training and techniques and all that kind of stuff. You'll get that to your inbox, and it will not go up on my website or Facebook or anywhere else, or YouTube even. It'll be straight to your inbox exclusively for you. Plus also you'll get exclusive access to all of my products before they come out. You'll get the heads up knowing when they're coming out, so you can check them out and prepare yourself if you want to buy them, and all of that kind of stuff. And you'll also be able to sign up for my VIP membership of JonnyLipshamStudios.co.uk as soon as that is launched, which is going to be very, very soon. You guys will know that launch date before everybody else does if you are on my email list. So go click that and sign up. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Bye for now.